of goods and service are determined in market. Supply refers to the total amount of product available for sale, influenced by factors such as production cost and market price. As price rise, supply are instinctively to increase production. Demand represents how much of a product consumers are willing to purchase at a various price. Typically, as price is decreased, demand increase and vice versa.
Supply can be influenced by a number of factors that are termed as determinants of supply. Generally, the supply of a product depends on its price and other variables such as the cost of production. When production costs decrease, businesses can supply more at each price. This can be due to lower taxes, government subsidies, or technological improvement. The next factor is the number of producers. An increase in the number of producers will increase the supply. The third factor is capacity. When existing firms expand their capacity, such as by building a new factory, supply will increase. The next factor is productivity. When workers are more motivated and work harder, output and supply will increase. Okay. Weather also one of the factor that affect the supply. The climatic conditions are important for agricultural product. And then the factor is related supply. When the supply of one product increases, the supply of a related product may also increase. For example, an increase in the supply of beef may also increase the supply of leather. And the next factor is expectation. If producers expect future prices to be higher, they may retain their supplies and sell later to profit from the higher price. And then the last factor is government policies. Government policies such as tax, regulation, and subsidies can affect the cost of production and the supply curve.
Next, the factor that affecting demand. The first factor is price of the product. The price of a good is the primary determinant of demand. When the price of the good increase, the demand of the good will decrease and vice versa. The second one is income of consumer. It is because when the income of the consumer increase, it will increase the ability to buy goods and service. And when the income of the consumer decrease, the demand for goods will drop. The third one is total population. A large population generally means more people are consuming goods and services, and will increase the aggregate demand. For example, a country with a growing population will see higher demand for housing, food, transportation, and other necessities. Next, seasonal factor. Certain goods have seasonal demand. For example, demand for winter clothing increases during colder months, while demand for air conditioners rise in summer. The next factor is government policy. Government policy have significant impact to demand. For instance, tax cuts and subsidy can boost demand. And the last one is future price expectations. The expectation of higher future price will increase the current demand, while the expectation of lower future price will decrease the current demand.
Next is about how supply and demand interact to determine the equilibrium price and quantity in a market. Equilibrium is a state in which the supply and demand for a given good or service in balance. Equilibrium is sometimes referred to synonymous as market clearing. Since in equilibrium against, buyers have bought all they want to buy and sellers have sold all they want to sell. Since the demand curve slowed down and the supply curve slowed up, they will intersect at only one point. At this intersection point, quantity supply and demand are equal. Equilibrium in supply and demand. The point where the supply and demand curve meet is known as equilibrium. At this point, quantity supply equals quantity demand. The price at this point is called the equilibrium price. The quantity is called equilibrium quantity. there is no supplies, which is excess supply, or shortage, excess demand. Next is about price adjustment to equilibrium. If a price above equilibrium result in a supply which is excess supply, seller will lower price to eliminate the supplies, driving price down to equilibrium. If price below equilibrium, it leads to a shortage which is excess demand. Seller will raise price due to higher demand, driving price up to equilibrium. An example of shift change due to a shift in demand scenario. A hot summer increased demand for ice cream, so demand curve shift to the right, which is higher demand at any price. Equilibrium price and quantity rise, seller will produce more ice cream. Change due to a shift in supply scenario. A hurricane damaged sugar crop, increased production cost for ice cream. So supply curve shift to the left, which is lower supply at any price. Equilibrium price rise and equilibrium quantity falls. Buyer will process less ice cream because the higher price reduce demand. This summary allows how supply and demand work together to establish market equilibrium and explain the impact of external event on supply and demand.